Okay then, I'll show you a relatively easy way to finish Mooncraft with all 5 characters. The simplest way to go about this will be to reset your save file and start again. And the reason you do this is because when you reset, it resets your threat level timer, meaning it'll move really slowly to start with. So here we go. Take the volunteer first, and all you have to do is go to the escape pod. As on the first round, there'll be no corruption to worry about, so you can take your time.
Attention all Pioneers crew members. This is an
and collect
broadcast. Please report
as many fabrication plans as you can find.
For evacuation. If you are unable to reach an escape pod, security will track your position as they conduct a final sweep before launching.
Don't worry too much about these. Your health will always regenerate back to 20. So you should be able to survive at least one hit, even if you've got no medkits. And with the glue charge, a weapon exclusive to this game. It's not very useful, but it's fun. Creates like a shower of glue. And if you ever run out of fatigue, it's better just to wait a few seconds to get it back, if you can. Without fatigue, melee swings take longer and do much less damage. Now this box in the corner is always worth having a look at. You'll very often find anti-rats there. Unfortunately, most of the items are random. And that corpse will almost always drop a propulsion pack on your second playthrough, as the simulation becomes less corrupted. Since you reset the game, the moon shark doesn't exist, so it's a lot easier to get about the crater. Basically, you have to reset the game in order to finish it with all 5 characters. This is because you can't unlock them all without resetting it. As getting the custodian is part of a story mission. And if you're trying to do all 5 together after you've finished your story missions, the difficulty will be set to maximum, so your corruption meter will rise faster. All the environmental hazards will be active, and you can get some really horrendous playthroughs with dust storms, radiation, fire, power outages. broken supply closets, no medkits, no med stations. So once you've reset the game, all that goes back to 0. So it just makes it a lot easier. And here's a quick tip to deal with cystoids. In low gravity, just grab a box and toss it at them. Cystoids move at anything that's within their proximity when they're triggered. They don't really do much damage, but they can give you radiation poisoning, which is just irritating. There's no real point wasting bullets on them. And that security station will almost always have a shotgun and a pistol on it. And it's always best to come into the central command center at the start of every character and check that security station. It'll give you a list of what power's on, what power's off, and it'll update your escape pod objective. Checking up here is always a good idea. This suitcase will usually contain blueprints. Unfortunately, I only get medical supply. And outside, you can sometimes find useful items. Occasionally, you'll even see delay loops spawn up there, which are handy. Either your regular supply crates usually just have a random item. Sometimes they'll have blueprints. But again, it's all randomized. The only crates that are guaranteed to have blueprints or rarer items of some description are those little hand suitcases and gold boxes.
Type of material detected.
Now there's always a gold box in here, which will almost always have blueprints and suit chips in it. It's underneath the catwalk. But in this case I just get a neuromod. Harvesters can be annoying, but if you've got an EMP grenade or a stun gun, just hit them with it and go behind them and destroy the power regulator. Harvesters always drop control modules, so if you need to repair any power outages, you can blow up a harvester and just loot it. Again, because it's the first playthrough, most of the cupboards are open, so you can go into the storerooms and see if there's any blueprints. No, just checking the engineering crate. Get a suit repair blueprint. And just remember before you leave to either save your neuromods or because you've restarted, to use them. Can't skip that. Nasty. Again, because you've restarted and you don't have any Typhon mods installed, your characters won't be classed as Typhon, which allows you to move quicker through the gates. You don't have to disable them, and they won't trigger for you. Oh, one down. No, we're not interested in the Basilisk messages. Spoil the story. Now, once you've unlocked the engineer, the rest of the base should be open to you. A nice cheap way to start off is just by buying the pistol and a full stack of bullets for it. Because the threat level will be low for a long time, the pistol is useful against every enemy. It'll kill them in about 5 or 6 shots. And because the corruption level will be moving very slowly, you can now just run around the base and loot as many fab plans and neuromods as you like. Turret summons a handy way to distract things, but I don't find them very useful. When you use them in low gravity, if any enemy hits them or touches them, they just float away uselessly. Which is not really any good, because they stop being a distraction. They're also completely useless against the moon shark, because it'll just smash them with a meteorite. The firing range is also very low. I think it's only about 15 meters, 20 meters. Yeah. Now the moon shark spawns. It's very irritating. Its attacks have a high chance to cause ruptures and bleeds. This prevents you from running without losing HP. My best advice for dealing with it is just ignore it. As long as you keep moving, it just won't hit you. Again, each time you unlock a character or complete a story objective, the amount of randomness in the simulation increases, as well as the speed of the corruption. So each time you've unlocked a character, it's best to come check the security station to make sure the power is still on and that no other hazards have appeared. And this is the only time the simulation will change between characters, is when you're unlocking them. And because the base is completely accessible again, as you've restarted it, you can just go and unlock the security officer and director you with the engineer. Now, I'm a little bit of a collectaholic. I mean, I don't need to pick up half of these items, but I just like picking things up. Now, another top tip there. When you use the zoom key and look around, it automatically tags anything that's moving around you. So if there's typhon about, or harvesters wandering, you can just tag them, and they'll always be highlighted on your screen.
Hello.
It even tags the annoying moonshark when it's burrowed. It's just nice to keep track of where things are. Like anything touching the lunar surface will attract the moonshark, so a turret or throwing a rock. Yeah, don't worry about going down to 1 HP if it bleeds. As long as you avoid another hit, nothing's going to kill you. It's just annoying to have the screen covered in jam. At corruption level 1 and 2, I mean, nothing's really any threat to you. It does very low damage. It's not very alert. And I get lucky and find a coagulating gel pack.
Scanning target. No alien material detected.
Now unfortunately the moonshark's triggering the gate, and it's sat in a corner, so you have to be a little patient with it. If you just wait a few seconds, it should clear off and go back to its patrol across the surface. Again, the turret doesn't really have much range, so I can't distract it with that.
Good afternoon, Pythias. Tomorrow evening is Schrodinger's flavor night in the cafeteria. Chef Crosby would like to invite everyone to come enjoy the tastes and
Vital signs critical.
Now, if you wonder why I'm not picking up any materials, it's because crafting's not really particularly useful. Unless there's something specific you need. The turret's quite a good distraction. until something touches it and then it falls over. It's usually best just to pop it in front of you, and while everything shoots at that, just blast away. And if you ever need a quick stack of food and water for your mass driver, just come to the kitchen. There'll always be loads of it here. And this table quite often has a delay loop attached to it. It's one of the places they can spawn. Now this supply closet isn't always open, sometimes the door's broken, but that's one of the random hazards you'll get as the difficulty increases. This golden supply crate usually has good stuff in. It's always worth checking when you're in the crew quarters. Oh, I like this song. There's no need to be afraid of the Typhon, really. As you saw, the Phantom barely did any damage. I think there's about 20 damage, if that. You can basically just walk up to the faces and blast them. It's perfectly fine to pick up as many keycards as you can see. The keycards persist between characters. So if you can grab as many as you can on your first few runs, it makes it a lot easier for the rest to carry on. This is one of the bugs in the game, is this maintenance panel. Sometimes you can't fit through it, so you have to keep walking backwards and forwards until your character bends down to enter it. It's pretty annoying.
Scanning target, no Typhon material detected.
I actually encounter a few funny bugs in this run through. And you can see how slow the corruption's going, because it's been reset. Again, because of the way Moon Crash is, the way it plays, it's not really much use for the glue gun, which is a bit of a shame. Other than disabling the Typhon with it, you can't really do much. There's not many places you can climb up. Now, the shuttle's a good place to check for neuromods. There's usually some in the luggage. On a Q-beam.
¿Qué pasa, jefe?
This is so weird.
Hey, you always wanted to get a good look inside my head.
Not like this.
When are you going in?
I have your connectome. I'm headed there now to inject your piloting skills into my skull.
You're right. It does sound weird. But at least now there will be 2 shit-hot aviators who can fly this brickyard.
Actually, you'll be obsolete, because I'll be able to fix them and fly them.
Maybe you'll pick up some of my other charming qualities.
Yeah? Like what?
I shouldn't have to tell you.
Again, that supply crate at the back of the shuttle will almost always have something useful in it. There's not usually much up here, sometimes a weapon on this guy. Now the location of the crew members' corpses will be random as well. You usually find them in the Moonworks or crew annex though.
Material detected.
It's not often you see them in the Pythias lab.
Attention everyone. Removing control modules from harvesters for other purposes isn't okay. Please file a proper request so we can track supplies and make everyone's life easier. Thank you.
And there's always a briefcase down here. Somewhere. The mimics duplicate it and knock it about, but if you can find it again, it'll usually have some chips in it for you. Maybe some neuromods. Now the break room, you can usually find food and water for your mass driver. And even a delay loop. There isn't usually anything else in the cupboards but food, so you grab whatever takes your fancy. I quite like the lemons. The lemon pie. Poltergeists. The best way to deal with them is just to watch and see what they hit, and then blast it with a shotgun or pistol. A null wave should expose them, but if you can hear them wandering about an area, try to deal with them without triggering anything else. Poltergeists can disarm you, they can remove weapons from your inventory, and anyone you've got equipped, they can pull it out of your hands.
This isn't gonna work.
Yes, it will.
Neither of us have been under that many G's before.
I've calibrated the mass driver to be within the human range of tolerance.
Human range... Jesus, Jordan. We're not clowns in a circus cannon.
Hey, what if those... Harry, you cannot lose your shit on me right now, okay? The shuttle's gone. Escape pods are effed. This is our only shot. We're gonna climb into that crate, and that gun is gonna shoot our asses home. And you're gonna kiss your wife and your kids, and everything is gonna work out just fine, all right?
All right. Yeah, I'm good.
Good. Step one. You have to get those supplies loaded into the crate. You've got the shopping list?
Yeah, I got it.
Go.
A VJ can spawn in the Pythias labs, in an air vent, or in the Moonworks on this ledge. He's also sometimes dead in the gym, in the crew annex. So you'll just have to double check on the security monitor. If you climb up to this catwalk here, you can usually pick up some useful items. Oh, an Angela Wagner. That was quite convenient. Sometimes she spawns in the refinery room, in the Moonworks. In order to complete the run with all 5 characters, the only neuromod skills you'll need are repair, hacking, and piloting. Director U will also need Typhon Genesis. which I'll show you can easily get from scanning a Weaver. Now, throwing a box doesn't work so well in high gravity. Now, the little rooms up in this catwalk area, you can usually find some good stuff. Some medical supplies. A mimic. Maybe a fabrication plan or two. I have found delay loops in those supply crates on the floor. I'm assuming they can spawn anywhere a normal item can. Just a bit rarer. A very handy skill to have is dismantle. Using dismantle, you can just pick up any weapons you find as you run with the engineer. Dismantle all the ones without bonuses, and just repair your elite ones when you find them, which you can then pass to your other characters. It's much cheaper on your sim points just to find the elite weapons and pass them using the mule than to actually buy them, because they're quite expensive. You can also fabricate elite weapons if you want to recycle things, but we haven't got time for that. In this catwalk area, you can use the air vents to go to the escape pod room if you find that the door's broken or locked. Another very good thing you can do while you're running the engineer is repair all the damaged consoles. Now, we're not going to escape in the driver, because that's the security officer's story. And you need to do that to be able to unlock the custodian. Now, that's a trauma centre. As you complete your story missions, the trauma centres in each area get broken and locked. So another good reason why you should restart the game to do it again.
Hello.
Is that all your trauma centres will be open and you'll be able to easily find medical supplies when you need them.
Attention, everyone. We have a special announcement from our head of security.
This is Officer Bhatia, Head of Security. Just wanted to take a second to call out this month's security commendation. The commendation goes to Officer Casey Fletcher for outstanding service. Be sure to congratulate Officer Fletcher and buy her around.
Now, Riley, you will always be at the top of Pythia's lab. And again, because all hazards have been reset, the tram should always work.
Everyone. We have a very special announcement from our facility director.
This is Director Riley Yu. We'll soon begin testing of the new Titan towers in the crater. Our specialists assure me the burst energy is harmless to humans. Nonetheless, make sure you are behind Greater Z shielding when the announcement comes.
Pesky mimics. This is another good place if you need any food or supplies. There's usually quite a lot down here in the seating area, and also upstairs in the restroom. Repairing things also gives you quite a lot of like sim points. Now the physical turrets you can pick up and place will persist between characters. So if you fill a room with turrets, and then you change character, they'll still be in that room armed. So just a heads up, if you get registered as Typhon, they'll all shoot you. Now if the walkway is broken, you can just hop up the vents. Yeah, I'll see you. It's always worth checking the safe in the conference room, which is just here in the bookcase. It'll pretty much always have something of value in there. And there will always be a pack of neuromods on Riley Yu's desk.
Hello. Scanning. Neuroimaging shows your psychoactive potential is at or near peak level.
And now that you've got the psychoscope, if you want to, you can look for a weaver. Or just map anything else on the way. This door's locked from the other side though, so you can't go through there into specimen containment. It's always worth scanning the enemies.
Psionic aptitude available.
So you get quite a lot of points from doing it.
Pythias. This is a reminder that all shuttle leave must be registered with security, along with signed documentation from HR and your immediate supervisor.
Complete. New psionic aptitude available.
Phantoms usually have quite random items on them when you kill them. Sometimes it'll just be an item of food, or sometimes it'll be an elite shotgun with armor piercing. It's always worth checking a phantom corpse.
Typhon material detected. No Typhon detected.
And this is the cocktail bar storage room. You'd usually find just a stack of food and a gold chest.
No Typhon detected.
Mimics and phantoms usually appear in pairs. But special Typhon are almost always alone. So that's about the third time I found the escape pod manufacturing plans in this supply room. It's worth having a look if you can get in there. It saves you a lot of time looking for the chip if you can just buy it in the options menu. No, I just max out repairs. As the corruption level increases, so does the difficulty of repairing or hacking objects. So if you can, just bump those up a few levels. Just to make sure you never get stuck at a hacked door or a repair point. The scanner's range is about 30 meters. But the mimics wiggle about. It's really hard to scan them. But I got him in the end. They probably had that coming. There's usually always a corpse here in the basketball court. Sometimes it'll have an elite weapon on it, so if you need one it's worth checking. Sadly there's usually not much useful in here. Sometimes null waves. It's just random items really in lockers. But Special Typhon can spawn at the basketball court, so just be careful you don't run round the corner and straight into a phantom or a telepath. Electrostatic burst is quite handy on the engineer. You can use it instead of a stun gun or EMP grenade. Just saves you an inventory slot. And again, don't worry about resetting your game, because just look at the amount of points you get. Tens of thousands. That's 2 characters, 72,000 sim points. And to unlock the custodian you have to escape via the mass driver, which is why we left it. Like again with the equipment purchases, other than maybe the psychoscope, a bit of ammo, an escape pod chip or a jetpack, it's not really much worth buying, because it's all quite expensive and you find plenty of items dotted around the base. If you manage to find the microminer, always equip that. And you can quickly buy all the neuromods and finish the next achievement, which is Galaxy Brain. It's probably the hardest achievement to get. I think you need something like several hundred neuromods. And this is why we reset the game, to get it a bit easier, because you're only just now getting a few more variables thrown into the mix. And on your third run you'll get companion pets. The companion mimic will follow you around, and it does a little dance. If there's an enemy nearby, it'll run to them and do a dance. So if you put a hat on it so you can see it, it'll go mark targets for you. Unfortunately, it also triggers Typhon gates to lock, so you'll have to unsummon it. And it's also quite slow at detecting. It takes about 10 seconds, I think, between going from one target to another. So I don't usually use it. I just find it gets in the way. It's pretty cute though. The operator companion, if you just summon that and put anything you want to carry over to another character, it'll just move between them like a shared inventory. Yuck.
Cruz, this is VJ. Listen to me. You need to stay off the lunar surface. I repeat, do not step foot on the regolith. There's something underneath. I think it's drawn to movement. It senses vibrations. I can't kill it. There's a shuttle in crew, but we are stuck in the damn crater until we get the Typhon gates down. Round up anyone else you can find. Warn them.
Oh, that'll be the moon shark. Now, the reason I come up here is this is one of the places that special Typhon can spawn. You'll occasionally find weavers floating around in this construction area. It's a good place to scan one if you need it. Now, threat level 3, things start to get a little bit more dangerous. They get a chunk more of HP and do a bit more damage. Now, security operators are armor-plated, which is irritating. Your best weapon's probably a Q-beam. Or a stun gun. You can kill the moon shark with recycler charges, but it destroys the delay loop that it carries. It'll take about 4 or 5 recycler charges to kill it. So the most annoying aspect about it is that it triggers the Typhon gates from quite a large distance. And then it'll just hang around for a bit. As long as you don't touch the floor, it won't be triggered to your location. So if you buy the jetpack and just float around all the objects, you should be okay. Now I've spotted a weaver. You have to scan a weaver, or else you can't unlock Phantom Genesis for ReLive's objective. Oh, that was a bit of a mess. Again, your characters can take quite a large amount of damage, so don't worry too much. My main issue now is that I suffered a concussion from the cystoid explosion. This will prevent you from installing neuromods. And you have to fix it with some brained pills. Let's see, neuromods. Can't be installed while concussed. The most annoying thing about being concussed is it'll occasionally play high-pitched ringing noises. I think just to irritate you. But physically it won't really slow you down much. Brain pills are relatively easy to find.
Operator approach. Inspecting. Your suit integrity is compromised. Fix that. Job done.
And here's another glitch I encountered.
Gate reactivation in.
Somehow the moon sharks got inside. It's the first time I've ever seen that.
Coming through.
That's pretty bad. Because if you walk near it, it'll just use a melee strike on you. And that'll do enormous damage.
Typhon material detected.
So it's best if you can avoid that. So I'm pretty sure it's not meant to be inside. Luckily, I repaired the graph well with the engineer, so I can just bypass it. Now the stairs in the moonworks will either be damaged or repaired. It's usually 50-50 which you'll get. Just assume that all the catwalks are always damaged, and then you won't be surprised when you can't reach anywhere easily. You can just jet back over that or walk across the scaffolding. You won't fall just walking across it. The beams are wide enough. Some brain pills. Now the mass driver control area is another place where special Typhon are usually guaranteed to spawn, almost always. You'll usually find a Weaver or a Telepath up here. There's a Weaver. Yeah, VJ doesn't really need any neuromods other than piloting if you want to take him out in a shuttle. His real strengths are the bonus health pool, which he can double to nearly 300. And combat focus, which if you use combat focus on any special Typhon, you just get 10 seconds to beat them to a pulp, really. There's not really anything that can survive combat focus.
No Typhon detected. Typhon material detected.
This is quite awkward though. It seems to patrol in and out of the window, but that triggers the gate. And I don't really want to alert it.
Good afternoon, Pythias.
Because if it moves back
For
inside the
any
room
minor
and starts
medical
firing
emergency,
cystoids, I can't
please
really hit
visit
it.
the trauma center in the corridor outside the refinery.
But again, with a bit of patience, it comes out. Again, specials always drop delay loops. So if you can get a chance for a quick kill on one, just do it and take the loop.
Virtual Mule software version 1.0 loaded. Render mesh. Signs operator _alt.obj. Voice synthesis file not found. Using simple TTS. Economy setting 1.2.
It's a very funny operator. It usually starts singing when you summon it. But if you're going for the mass driver, you can just dump all your inventory in the control room, so you won't need any of it.
Opening.
Again, if you've already done a run with the engineer, you also won't need any repair parts. Then you push the button, just walk to the cargo container. There's really nothing to get in your way.
Please ensure container is secure, and all personnel are clear of the lift zone.
It's usually best if you've got a jetpack for that bit. Otherwise you will break your legs if you fall. I'm relatively certain you can survive the fall with full health. I seem to remember it takes about 120 off your health. Again, that's 90,000 sim points. We still haven't done a first soft reset of the simulation. So lastly, I choose to do Riley U. She only really has one method of escape, which is the upload. Which is also part of a story objective. So upon completing the first upload, it'll slightly increase the randomness of the simulation. Again, in order to complete it, you have to unlock Phantom Genesis 2, so you have to scan a Weaver. Our other skills don't really matter too much. And since we've got tens of thousands of points, we can just buy all the neuromods we need right off the bat. The Potentializer is a good chip mod to equip. It allows you just to spam your Typhon abilities. As your psi power will just regenerate. No, extra variables have been added because we did a story mission with VJ. But it's still nowhere near as hard as it would be if you complete them all and then try to do 5. rarely use powers, are usually for distractions. Mimic matter allows you to move through broken doors, or the collapsed tunnel, which is very handy, saves time. For her director powers, it doesn't really matter what you take. If you don't want to be detected by Typhon, just buy a load of mods and use stealth move. You should be able to walk past almost everything. For Typhon abilities, Psycho Shock just disables the special attacks that Typhon have. So you can usually just ping them with that and just walk past them again. I don't normally use Mind Control or Phantom Genesis really on the dead personnel. But the problem with reviving personnel with Phantom Genesis is that the passive abilities phantoms have, like etheric or electrical or fire, they hurt you. So you'll summon one as a friend and it'll just burn you, so there's no point. And even level 1 Psyshock just makes the special ones a joke. They usually can't attack you with anything once you tackle them with it. So you get about 20 seconds just to fill them full of lead. Another good thing it does is instantly kill tentacle nests and usually mimics. It's also got a really short cooldown, so if you've got the spare neuromods, it's worth picking up. So I'm going to get greedy and try and get a Technopath.
Analysis required.
Another glitch. Clipping into the structure. It's just like the base game. Now sadly you can shoot between the platforms, but you can't target neuromods between them.
Command. Do not impurities detected. All sensor report positive.
Well, thankfully the enemies are just so slow in reacting. You can just run circles around them if you want. Unfortunately, the harvesters will always face you when they're corrupted like that. So if you don't have anything to disable them with, they'll usually just keep turning and you won't be able to hit the weak point.
Hello.
And again, because the simulation difficulty increased, another random effect happened, so in that case it took out the power. So it's always best to check it every time you get one of these status updates. And also unusually this tunnel opened, which is strange. It doesn't usually open. But if it's closed, you can just use Make Batter to hop through it. And if you're looking for the Starbender achievement, one of the books is in this room, this shower room. And you can occasionally find soup chips in here as well. There's one. Upgrading your side bowl will instantly refill it to full, so if you like bursting your abilities, you can use them all and then refill your side bowl by upgrading it.
Warning. Lethal radiation levels detected.
This is another random effect. Radiation's not too bad. Fire's quite dangerous. Electroshock is a bit more irritating because you've got to hop over water. Now if you can't find a weaver in the wild, if you come into specimen containment here, it's usually full of them. And there's also a glass case at the top of the building. If you look up, you can scan a weaver that's on display. There's some neuromods inside volunteer containment usually, but it's not really worth going into. Behind the gate there'll usually be a bunch of phantoms. Another easy way to scan the special typhon in containment is just to look through the glass here. That's a control module that will always be there as well, in case you need to repair something. You sometimes find neuromods at the back of this room. Radiation sickness causes your screen to wobble and go blurry. so it's more of an inconvenience to get that. I believe what happened there was the turrets I left on the previous playthrough are still there, and they just shot the telepath and scared it off. Which I guess is useful, but it'll still persist. So if you want to dot turrets everywhere, you can give that a go. The control module in this vent's always here as well, so if you need an extra one, it'll be there for you. I believe each annex of the base has 2 spare control modules in fixed locations. You can also find them in the harvesters and sometimes in storage rooms. And there's the laser turrets we left.
Special type of material found. Standing down.
I'm not entirely sure if the turrets you purchase in the pre-flight menu will persist, but I would assume they would, as there'd be inventory items that you drop.
Warning. Lethal
The summon
radiation
turret
levels
doesn't
detected.
persist. It disappears after a few minutes. And I've no idea where that telepath's gone. I think it's clipped through a wall, which is another bug.
Riley, things on Talos 1 are becoming untenable. It's time to set contingencies we've discussed into motion. I need you to copy everything you've got onto the vault operator I see. The research, connectomes, everything. Morgan was right. The Typhon are all linked, which means whatever's happening up here will likely spread to you, if it hasn't already. And it should go without saying that we keep the board out of the loop on this. They'll find out soon enough anyway. Get it done. We'll talk again soon. Oh, and Riley, be careful.
Scanning.
I'm fairly certain you've got at least one KASMA mole working for you.
You should feel more alert.
Okay, so the telepath clipped back into existence in the room. The game's a bit quirky with, like, ghostly walls. Now the first time you do this objective, you'll have to find the test subject, which is labelled there. Now he doesn't show up on regular security monitors. You have to use the monitor that's down in subject containment.
Scanning target Typhon material inconclusive. Calibration request.
And again, the corpse will spawn in a random location, so it will be different on each playthrough. But you only need to do this once, so if you go in here, and find Oleg on the volunteer list. That's a lot of batteries. And as I just said, Oleg will spawn in one of the 3 annexes of the base. Yeah, that's another random variable. Sometimes the trams will be disabled. So if you can find another control module, you can usually repair them. There'll either be 1 or 2 modules missing from each power slot. So if you grab 2, you can always repair whatever you run into. Again, the stun from Psyshock is longer than the cooldown. So if you hit a phantom with it and then just walk about for a few seconds, you can just do it again, and all they can do is like flail the little arms at you. So even if you run out of ammo, you shouldn't be too afraid of the enemies.
Status. Control module. Nominal. Type material detected.
And always save some EMPs or electrical discharge for the crater gates.
Crater access from the crew annex is prohibited and constitutes a severe breach of safety protocol.
I believe a mimic always respawns there, which is a bit annoying. And that's another fixed location for a control module.
Typhon material detected. No Typhon detected.
Oh dear. that wasn't so bad in the end. But if you find yourself a bit overwhelmed, just run away. Most of the enemies can't physically keep up with you if you keep running.
Warning. Lethal radiation levels detected.
You also can't cancel the reload with the shotgun, so just bear that in mind if it runs out in the middle of a fight. And now the corruption's ticked up to level 4. This is when enemies will start becoming quite bulky. But it doesn't matter too much, because this is the last character before resetting. Now if you see sparks and things, it usually means there's something electrical nearby. But again, nothing's really a match for the shotgun. Now you only need to repair this file once. And now that it's done...
Hello.
Before you launch that operator, I need you to take one last precaution. You have the emulation tech Morgan was tinkering with. Use it. Copy yourself. I know it seems morbid, but we can't shrink from the reality that you might not make it off the moon. This will ensure at least something is left of our family. No one else is equipped to deal with what's coming. I'm putting Talos 1 in the dark after this. You won't be able to reach me. Hopefully, we'll see each other Earthside. Goodbye, cousin.
What a nice young man.
Scanning. Neuroimaging shows your mental resources are depleted. This should help. That should help you concentrate.
Starting procedure. Personality capture and emulation. Source, Riley Yu, Pytheas Facility Director. Target, Minerva 465, Data Vault Class Operator. Capture and transfer complete. Additional instructions found. Starting procedure. Erase you.bat. Destroying source subject.
So although I'm not technically sure that classes as escaping, the game says it does. And again, you still get 30,000 points for it, so... And now to do all 5 characters. because the save's a new save file, it sort of limits the order which you can do them in. Basically, all you need to do to get everybody out at once is to repair the portal with the engineer and the custodian. Everyone else has their own escape routes, which is either the mass driver, the upload, or the shuttle. So I chose to go first with the engineer, and because I had an escape pod chip, I thought I'll just take her out through the escape pod after I repair the mimic portal. If you want to make it as absolutely easy as possible for yourself, leave the shuttle for your last character so they can just walk into the crew annex and launch it, because you only have to go through 2 gates to get to it. So I would say the 2 hardest escapes are probably the escape pod and the mass driver. The reason I say it's the escape pods is because a special Typhon have a chance to spawn in each escape pod room. So there's a chance you'll run into an armoured technopath or a telepath. And because the rooms are a little bit tighter, there is always a chance that they might kill you at the close range. The mass driver can sometimes be tricky. But only so much as you usually have to go find an anti-rad, or just pick one up at the beginning. But since we haven't completed all the story missions, the simulation isn't at maximum difficulty. So the corruption rises slower, and there's not as many random variables in effect. So the theory is this should be as easy as you can make it. And if you also decide to take the engineer first, just remember to repair a few doors along the way, as well as the portal, where she can also fix up any damaged elite weapons you find. And there we have it. No hazards, tram offline, power online. If you'd completed all the story objectives, you'd probably see multiple hazards, and the trams would be offline, the power would be out in one section. You'd also wouldn't have access to the supply closets. And the corruption level would rise significantly faster. So So if you're having any problems with the randomness, try it this way. Again, I'm a bit of a hoarder, so I tend just to pick up anything that's not nailed down and have a look at it. You don't have to do that, you can just run straight to the objectives if you need to. I just wanted to see what was in the box.
Typhon material detected.
The gold supply crates are always in fixed positions. So if you just take a note of where they are, every time you reset you can go check them and see what goodies they've got.
Warning. Flooding and electrical damage detected.
Complete.
I'm not sure if this is a bug or not. It's quite difficult to find a surface to put the turret on sometimes. It only works on flat points.
Alien threat detected.
So you'll have trouble putting it down in certain places. So you might be able to get it to spawn on top of a box. But it really doesn't like the railways. I don't think I've ever been in that locked room. Those mimics sure make you paranoid. Yeah, the electricity hazard is one of the more dangerous ones. As long as you're touching it, it'll just cause constant damage and disable your suit. You can sort of bunny hop through it if you want, or glide over it.
Reactivation in 3, 2, 1. Typhon material detected.
Initiate battle.
Thankfully we haven't glitched the moon sark inside again. And since it's a fresh simulation, whichever character you choose to run first, just have a run round, gather up as many supplies as you can to put into your pack mule. And set up some of the other escapes for people. For the escape pod you'll need the navigation chip, which you can either fabricate or find it dotted around in supply closets. It's a random spawn. You can also always find one in a fixed spawn in the broken escape pod. For your mass driver, you need 5 non-alcoholic drinks, 1 anti-rad, and 5 items of food. And anything else you want to take with you into space, really. I think I took some tumors with me. I'll say most of the enemies are quite sluggish. The mimics know how to run. Don't get recycled by Harvester. That would be bad. The mimic corpses aren't really worth looting. You'll only just find bits of Typhon body parts on them. Which I suppose if you want to craft neuromods you can take them, but again you get so many points for escaping with everyone. You can just buy any neuromods you need. And the neuromod fabrication is a plan you'll always get. So when you find the corpse of Angela Wagner for the piloting connectome, you will always find a neuromod fabrication plan.
No Typhon detected.
Now my first job is done, arming the mass driver. I'm going to my second one, which is repairing the mimic portal. Again, if you can find the jetpack plans, it makes your life a little bit easier. But it's not necessary.
Typhon material detected.
There'll be several scattered about the level randomly. They're usually in lockers or on dead personnel. And this is another reason I chose to take the engineer first. Because I've taken disassembly, I can just pick and choose which weapons I like the look of the stats on, fix them all up, and then transfer them to the other characters. Saves you a few thousand sim points in buying weapons. It also saves you the time of finding material to fabricate into a weapon.
Attention, everyone. Our head custodian, Claire Witten, would like to remind everyone that your mom doesn't work on Pythias. So let's all do our best to practice good
I was thinking about going and clearing out specimen containment.
In as good condition as we found it.
And now I definitely am.
Excuse me.
I notice many people don't like taking the null waves. But if you just throw one and switch to your big guns, you'll have absolutely no problems in destroying these special Typhon. It completely disables their attack. And in the case of telepaths, it even disables their mind-controlled units. If you use it on a technopath, it disables their turrets. It disables their electroshock. If you use it on a weaver, it can't attack. So, if you're finding any of the special Typhon particularly bothersome, try some null waves. If you null wave the moon shark, it can't throw rocks at you. It just sort of stomps its feet in anger.
New psionic aptitude available.
And if you run into the nightmare in the wild,
Hello.
you've probably been playing the same simulation for over an hour. Which is quite a long time. But again, the null wave completely disables the nightmare's attacks. So you can just throw that at it and run away. Or Q-beam it to death. Now, in this room here, you will always find an elite psychostatic cutter. It'll have random mods on it. This one's just a basic one. It's a very effective weapon. Its charge attack knocks down most of the Typhon. But it drains some of your psi to use it. There's sometimes a Starbender bug there. Unfortunately, I just find the shotgun to be so ridiculously powerful. I usually just stick with that most of the time.
What's the emergency?
This mimic you brought me, something is definitely wrong with it. It keeps throwing various shoes at me.
Are they nice shoes?
I'm serious. It's like it's punching holes to somewhere. A universe of shoes? I don't know. But my point is, someone with sufficient Typhon abilities and a strong attachment to someplace else, like a...
Like a place on Earth?
Yes, exactly. Then I think you could open a door, maybe even walk through it.
It might be more like getting sucked through a very tiny, tiny straw.
I think I could tweak the containment shield to stabilize the mimic.
We need Riley's permission to run this.
Well, what you waiting for? I'll be in the lab.
Just let the turret do most of the work when you open that door. The enemies in this room are quite randomised. You can get mimics and tentacles, or phantoms and technopaths. I believe anything can spawn in this place. It can stay in there, I think. But luckily no water hazards have spawned. And there's an elite shotgun with armor piercing. If you take the Typhon autopsy skill, every time you kill a tentacle nest you can harvest spore grenades. All the spore grenade does is spawn another tentacle nest for a few seconds. It's actually very, very effective against the moon shark. If the moon shark runs into a tentacle nest, it'll usually be killed in 2 or 3 seconds by the damage it causes. Again, before you dismantle all your weapons, just to repair the elite one, it's always worth just checking what the actual upgrades it has are. Sometimes you'll get an elite weapon with no damage upgrade on it, in which case the rare weapon's usually better, because it'll have a damage bonus on it. The skins are quite nice.
Warning. Flooding and electrical damage detected.
And now we're just wrapping up the first character. The trams are back online, power's restored, mass drivers armed. If you ever want to detect a hidden mimic, if you just hover your psi power over some rocks, if it lights up, that's a mimic. If it doesn't light up, there's nothing there. It's the only character that can actually scan hidden mimics and poltergeists is Riley Yu with an upgraded psychoscope. You can use the glue gun to repair some of this damage, but the time you spend repairing damage compared to just hopping over it doesn't really add up. Again, this trauma room's unlocked. And even found some anti-rad in it. If you play with all the story missions completed, usually the trauma rooms are closed. I believe only one of them will be open on each room instead of all of them.
Request logged for other paths.
The refinery room's quite a good place to grab lots of loot if you want. If you bring the custodian character in here and use her hacking abilities to open the supply crates, you can usually find a lot of items inside. I believe one of them's even filled with turrets of a random type. But we ain't got time for that. I'm not sure if that's a bug or not, but there's usually a mimic stuck up there. It can't come down from the shelf for some reason.
This is Joan Winslow, personal install day 2. Working out kinks. Version 3.27. Sentry software has been patched. Diagnostics look good. Previous flaws in targeting seem to be gone. I've retired Jean and May Capone, but Helen, Karen, Opal, and Bonnie Parker all got the upgrade. They are shooting straight. I think this new one here is gonna break convention. I'm gonna call him Brian.
Hey, Joan, you got a sec? Shay needs your help with one of the harvesters.
Okay, yeah. Let me just turn this off.
Well, now I managed to find the escape pod key, because the escape pod door below this place is actually locked. But if you can't find it on your run, just hop up onto the ledge and move through the vents. It takes you straight to the escape pods in the Moonworks. Again, it's random which crew members are carrying the keys you need in each area. So if you can find a bypass through a vent, it just saves you a bit of time. And luckily there isn't anything special in here, so just blast this phantom.
Please evacuate in an orderly fashion. Flooding and electrical damage detected.
God, mimics are annoying. Even though it's not suppressed, the shotgun doesn't seem to trigger them very easily, so you can just run around blasting Typhon with it. You shouldn't really alert that many. Unless they're stood next to each other, then they'll probably notice you firing a shotgun. Oh, and that was the key for the supply room. If you find the keys, it's usually worth just having a look. But if you're pressed for time, there's no need to. Many people say the psychostatic cutter is much better than any other weapon in the game. The wrench does considerably more damage than the cutter, and the cutter does no damage to mechanical enemies. But then again, the cutter has a higher rate of knockdown. So it just depends what you favour. I think the cutter only does about 10 or 20 damage, and the wrench can do upwards of 60. But for the most part, you'll probably just be using the shotgun.
Interesting.
That's one half of the initial setup done. So usually, it's best to leave Security Man till last, simply because he's the bulkiest character in the game. He also starts with heavy weapons, so he can handle high-level corruption very easily. But since I've already found an elite shotgun, I'll just take a couple of rounds of ammo and be on my way. Because you've already repaired the Typhon files for the upload, you should be able to just run straight to it. It's only at threat level 2 still. So if you've repaired all the power, picking Riley, you can just run straight to the end. Also, when Psy-shocked, the Moonshark can't dig. It can only waddle across the surface.
Material detected.
Sadly, the auto lock-on sometimes hits the tentacles and not the base.
Good afternoon, Pythias. For any minor equipment repairs, please visit the engineering annex just off the main lobby.
There's nothing really much to say about Riley Yu. She only has one way out if you want to get out with all 5. And if you've repaired the file, you don't need to do anything. You just activate the workstation. And the mix out with the door lock. And away you go.
Riley, things on Talos 1 are becoming untenable. It's time to set contingencies we've discussed into motion. I need you to copy everything you've got onto the vault operator I sent you. The research, connectors, everything. Morgan was right. The Typhon are all linked, which means whatever's happening up here will likely spread to you, if it hasn't already. And it should go without saying that we keep the board out of the loop on this. They'll find out soon enough anyway. Get it done. We'll talk again soon. Oh, and Riley, be careful. I'm fairly certain you've got at least one KASMA mole working for you.
Hello?
Before you launch that operator, I need you to take one last precaution. You have the emulation tech Morgan was tinkering with. Use it. Copy yourself.
I'll save that elite Q-beam. And just eat a raw lemon before sitting in this chair.
But we
Just take
can't
the edge
shrink
off
from
it.
the reality that you might not make it off the moon. This will ensure at least something is left of our family. No one else is equipped to deal with what's coming. I'm putting Talos 1 in the dark after this. You won't be able to reach me. Hopefully, we'll see each other Earthside. Goodbye, cousin.
Hello?
So eat the lemon and then sit in the chair.
Starting procedure. Personality capture and emulation. Source, Riley Yu, Pythias Facility Director. Target, Minerva 465, Data Vault Class Operator. Capture and transfer complete. Additional instructions found. Starting procedure, erase you.bat. Destroying source subject.
SD. So you can always leave Riley Yu to last if you want as well, because the room's secured when you lock the door. Nothing should really bother you. Now I choose to do the volunteer. He can just run straight to the shuttle. Again, you don't really need any items for this, just something to disable the Typhon gates. If you're going to do this with all your neuromods, you'll be locked out of the gates, so you'll have to either burrow under them, or just EMP them. It's always worth taking the microminer if you find it. It pays for itself just by escaping, with the 10% bonus on all XP earned.
Okay. Hey.
Again, with a volunteer, if you've unlocked Burrow ability, you don't really need any items at all, because you can pass under any barrier. So it's almost impossible for Typhon to attack him. If anything locks onto you, you can just burrow strike away. As long as you can see the location that you're burrowing to, you'll always move to it. I'm just going to have a little stroll across the lunar crater. His regeneration ability is also extremely handy if you find that his low health is a problem for you. He has the lowest health of any character in the game. It's only 75 points. With the beefy boy chip, it goes up to 90.
Typhon material detected.
The regeneration effect triggers when you're hit by anything. If it does 10 points of damage to you at level 1, it'll automatically just recover that instantly. At level 2, if you take 25 points of damage, it'll automatically recover that instantly as well. But if you take any hits heavier than that, it won't recover the additional. So if a moonshark hits you for 50 points of damage, you'll only recover half of it back. But all the weaker Typhon generally won't be dealing more than 20 points to you at a time. So you'll just instantly heal back whatever damage they do. Makes you quite survivable.
Gate reactivation in 3, 2, 1.
And again, I don't have any stealth skills, I just walk past them. They don't notice. Give this guy a pat on the back. It's not really a problem. Doesn't even trigger the gate. So the enemies aren't very alert.
Typhon material detected. No Typhon. Typhon material detected. No Typhon detected.
So if you do find them quite difficult to deal with, just ignore them. Just carry on. I'll get rid of that. Don't want that next to you when you're flying. And that's a volunteer escape. You get 10,000 sim points just for walking to the end. So that pays for your microminer. So now you need to unlock the custodian and get the security man out. So I'm just going to give him some ammo for his shotgun. always take some EMPs. You can take the stun gun if you want. But some enemies can disable the stun gun. Voltaic enemies disable the stun gun. It also uses up 3 inventory slots because you need 2 slots for the gun and 1 for the ammo. Whereas you could just buy an EMP grenade and only take up 1 slot. And if you've left VJ till like nearly your last run, or your last run, just give him everything you got.
Ready.
And you'll just go smash some Typhon. His maximum HP is just over 320 points, I think.
Watch out.
And there's absolutely nothing in the game that can deal that much damage to him. I mean, that's like 4 hits, 4 stomps by the Moon Shark could probably do about 300 damage to you. And even if you suffer a rupture effect with VJ, you can just run with bleed out. Because his HP is nearly 200. Just starting out. So have you ever been fed up with that Moon Shark? Now's your time to disintegrate it. If you're afraid of its rocks and you've got the thruster pack, just jump and quickly tap in a direction and you'll do a little thrust to one side and avoid the rocks. So even getting hit by the Moon Shark, I've still got over 110 health. The armor-piercing effects on the guns will hurt the Moon Shark. Otherwise, it's practically invulnerable to small arms fire. So we want to use a Q-beam or Typhon abilities to hurt it. The psychostatic cutter will hurt it, but it doesn't do much damage. I think it only does about 10 or 20 damage.
An important briefcase has been misplaced on level 2 near the lounge of the crew annex. If you locate it, please contact
The fastest way is with Typhon spores or recyclers. And this is what a glue charge does to the special Typhon. sure how effective they are, but they make quite a mess. You can use them to cover over environmental hazards like fire or electrical damage.
Hello, are you here for an appointment? Diagnosing. Looks like you've had a rough day. Please, hold still. This will only take a moment. Good as new. You can fill out a service questionnaire at the front desk.
Not sure why the operators are in the gym.
Welcome. Maybe I can help you.
They don't really have arms to get ripped.
Disintegrated circuit found. Instructions.
But again, a VJ doesn't have any stealth skills, and you can just walk up to the enemies and shoot them. If they're not looking directly at you, they've got a very low detection range. And careful not to break your legs on the basketball court. If you get caught by that gravity shift pad and you don't have a propulsion unit, you'll probably break your legs when you land. There's no achievement for scoring hoops. Now to do VJ story mode, all you need to do is get into his quarters. And to do that you need to find the right habitation module keycard, which is randomly on some corpse in the crew annex. Could be upstairs, could be downstairs. You just have to check every corpse until you find it, really. It's a bit annoying. There's sometimes corpses in the shower rooms as well, so don't forget to have a look there. There's a shower room at each side. So many elite weapons. Elite pistol, elite shotgun. Some mimic behind me. Oh, but it's that gel pack on the floor. And if you can't get into the engineering supplies in the crew annex, the air vent in the shower room will take you to it. I just can't understand how TranStar lost control of all the Typhon. I mean, how could it possibly happen? Are you looking for keycard module that says module 17 to 21? No, that was cocktail storage. Was a bit more difficult. And there's the key card. I'll just have a check if there's any more items we can take.
Attention everyone. We have a very special announcement from our facility director.
This is Director
And every time
Riley
you've used an escape route, it'll
Following
leave a
her
corrupt zone
participation in our new
where the escape was.
skill-sharing initiative. Engineer Angela Wagner has been promoted to Operations Pilot 1, effective at the end of the cycle. Congratulations, Miss Wagner.
Anytime you see flashing lights, usually means there's a Typhon nearby. But it doesn't matter if they're electric or not. I think it's just because there's a Typhon there, it'll cause distortions. And now another glitch you can sometimes encounter if there's Typhon distorting the electrics. You may or may not be able to operate keypads. Unfortunately, I don't think I can get them away from the door. So that could potentially end your run. But we're not going to give up. So the door is unlocked, you just have to find the part of the keypad which isn't distorted. Maybe if I examine it, I'll try pressing the corner. So I don't think an EMP will reset it. Looks like cheeky Typhon's still there waving at me through the door. You seem frustrated. Oh dear. I'm not sure the charges can go through the door. I'll try zooming in on the keypad, wherever the button was. So this is more dangerous than anything. Any threat. A magical door lock. But I'm not going to give up. Just have to get the right angle. There we go. Die. So that's what you get for messing with the door. Like the 5th elite shotgun. Another elite shotgun on the Phantom. So the weapons do degrade and break, but you should have absolutely no problem replacing them. If you even manage to break them.
Officer Bhatia, this is Director Yu. Your men are being slaughtered. Where are you? It's not the Typhon. It's Claire Witten. She's a KASMA spy. She's been here long enough to have her hooks into everything by now. You have to track her down. Do not let her get off the base. Do you understand? I can't be distracted by this right now. Handle it, Bhatia. I'm counting on you.
And now we have to locate the custodian, Claire Witten. You can find her with her ID if you use a security station. But she spawns in a fixed location anyway, so it will always be the same. And that'll be the Moonworks supply closet.
Warning. Flooding and electrical damage detected.
But you shouldn't have any trouble finding her on this security list. She'll be highlighted as still alive. I think she's the only personnel that's ever highlighted as still alive. And once again, we're not rushing through anything. And we're still on threat level 3. I'm not sure if that's meant to happen.
How's it, Officer Bhatia? Are you too late, I'm afraid, my friend? By the time you hear this, I should be sitting nice and comfy on an escape pod headed home. I knew Riley would send you. Anybody else and they'd be dead already. You want to stay not dead? Then listen up, my chummy. That little puff of air you just heard? Neurotoxin. Kill you, chop chop. But I'm giving you the location of the antidote. I realize you have the means to scuttle my pod, so now you get to decide. Self-preservation or duty to your employer? What's it gonna be, VJ? Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock.
I'm not sure if that's a bug, or it just doesn't get you if you stand back and press the button. But I'm not actually poisoned. So I can just have a casual stroll to the escape pod self-destruct button. So what's supposed to happen is you get poisoned, then you have to go back to the starting crater, get the antidote.
Good afternoon, Pythias.
So that's probably a bug.
I'm pleased to announce our very own engineer Brian Chung will be carving a beautiful art installation to be displayed in the Moonworks tram stop. If you or anyone you know have any hidden talents that might make life at Pythias more pleasant, please let Director Yu.
Well, my first suggestion would be to get rid of all the Typhon on the base. That would probably make it a bit more pleasant for everyone involved.
VJ, don't. You don't owe Riley a thing. Sticking around like a good little boy to mop up the mess she made? You should be on a pod. Like me. Like she is. What? You cross at me for clapping your men. Well, maybe I'm not the only one on this pod, eh? You think about that, my friend? You push that button, and you got innocent blood on your conscience.
Now, obviously you want to unlock Claire, the custodian, so you maybe don't want to kill her at this point. You should probably disable it.
Good boy. You made the right choice, VJ. Well, you managed to get off the moon alive? I'll look you up. I'll make you another offer you can't refuse. KASMA's always on the prowl for solid men. And the pay is shit, but the work is loads more fun. Best of luck to you. Sorry about your men.
I'm not entirely sure you'd want to work for either of these corporations.
Electrical damage detected.
As VJ, you can also unlock the security operators and activate them. They'll do little patrols around areas. If there's any Typhon, they'll laser them for you. They don't attack any human characters, and they persist between runs. But the patrol routes are quite small. They're a bit unreliable, but it's better than nothing.
Typhon material detected.
The destination now reported. Please ensure container is secure. And all personnel are clear of the lift zone.
Again, all the VJ skills are basically strength, speed, damage, but you don't really need any of them. You probably want to pack some brain pills in there as well before you take off. 47,000 points for that. And that leaves you with Claire, the custodian, or spy. And if you do it this way, all you have to do is hack the portal and leave. And since you've got a load of sim points, you can just stack up a couple of EMPs, load of neuromods to unlock hacking. And because that was a story mission, it adds some more variables. But it's not terribly important, because you've only got one objective left.
Eat.
Now it's best to take a big bunch of neuromods, because depending on what the corruption level has become, depends on the level of hacking you need. Each level of corruption requires the next level of hacking. Claire's skills are mostly just stealth, speed and critical damage. If you've got full stealth, you can just walk right up to type and do criticals to them. I don't really find any use for remote manipulation. Most of the buttons that you need to switch, you can't really see from behind them. So remote manipulation doesn't really have much use in Moon Crash, which is a bit of a shame. But that's the same for the Boltcaster, because you can't see the consoles and buttons you need to shoot it at. There's no use taking it in most cases. A phantom shift is super handy though. Because rather than attacking you, the Typhon will attack your Phantom. So when you shift, you can just pummel them with whatever weapon you've got. And shift recharges instantly. And it shifts in any direction you're pressing when you trigger it. It's a very useful skill if you just want to dodge everything. Shortcut, you can jump through the window. Just be careful there's not a Typhon on the other side of it. Like an etheric phantom. Lock that door, don't want anything following you. if you want to gain another load of sim points, you can go around hacking the various stores. But we'll just stick to getting everyone out. And that's it. There's no need to rush. You can get everyone out, no problem. We're still on threat level 3. So if you're finding it difficult, just try resetting the whole game and going through it like that. I hope that's of some help.